Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I would like to welcome you all to our OECD Forum side session on Helpdesks as a means to close the action and knowledge gap on HREDD in producing countries. This session is hosted by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and the Responsible Business Helpdesk Network with support of GIZ. My name is Carla. I'm working for GIZ in Bangladesh, and it's a great pleasure for me to be moderating this session today. We have wonderful speakers with us today who will talk to us about their experiences working with suppliers in various countries. It has been around actually more than a year that the first helpdesk in Vietnam and Cambodia have been established, and also helpdesk in Bangladesh and Serbia were launched. So I think it's quite timely to hear now from them what their experiences have been so far and which activities they have implemented. So we will start the session with an introduction to the Helpdesk network and its relevance from a more political perspective. And then we will dive deeper into the topic with our special guest Linda from Amfori and our Helpdesk hosts from Vietnam, Cambodia, Serbia, and Bangladesh. And finally, there will be a questions and answers session. So throughout the session, you have the opportunity to put your questions into the chat, and we will get back to that at the end and try to answer your questions. So thank you again all for joining and taking the time to be here. It's great to have so many participants here from different countries, and I know we also have a quite diverse audience with people from brands, suppliers, civil society, international organizations, and probably many others. And I hope that you will all find the session useful and take something away in terms of practical approaches to implementing human rights and environmental due diligence in producing countries. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to our first speaker, Reinhard Juncker from the German Federal Ministry for Economic Development and Cooperation. Reinhard has supported the RBH Network from the very beginning, and he is also an expert on the German Supply Chain Act. So Reinhard, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Carla. Many thanks for organizing this event. Many thanks also for all the panelists joining here to talk about their motivation and their first experiences. And of course, many thanks also for the audience for coming and be interested in this event. Yeah, I was asked to give you a short introduction about the Helpdesk model altogether and also about our motivation, why we set this all up. First of all, we have to state that there's an increasing number of countries around the world that are introducing now mandatory due diligence. Germany is one of those countries, but there are more others, like France, for example. And hopefully, we will also soon get EU-wide legislation on this issue. All of you, of course, ask what is about the European Union and will they finally decide upon EU-wide legislation? I can only tell you that conclusion hasn't been taken yet. There are talks ongoing on the highest level, and I presume that until the end of this week or perhaps next week, we will have a final decision on this. Well, we have to state that this mandatory due diligence legislation is only applied to our own companies that fall under the direct scope of the law. But of course, there's some sort of a cascade effect. Requirements are passed on to local suppliers. And of course, effective implementation of all this only happens if buyers and suppliers cooperate, they work together. And suppliers also contribute, for example, to the reporting and the trainings on the ground. And last but not least, also civil society and trade unions have an important role to play when it comes to the implementation. And all those stakeholders need to be informed about the requirements, but also about the best practices, how to implement due diligence management systems in the best way possible. Well, I don't have to talk about the needs. We are all aware of the needs because of systematic violations of human rights. And But I would like to point out this is not German law, this is not European law that we are trying to follow, but we are talking here about international standards, ILO convention and so on. We do not code new laws in terms of human rights protection and environmental protection, but we are only referring to already existing international standards, especially referring to the UN guiding principles that basically should be already implemented everywhere in the world, and we only oblige our own companies to take their responsibility and play their part in implementing all this. But we also have to state that there is a lack of awareness, a lack of know-how on the ground in production countries about the UN guiding principles, about this due diligence management systems, and this is why we think information is needed, capacity building is needed, and here, of course, is a big challenge, but we also see it as a chance for buyers and suppliers to better cooperate along global supply chains and help that in the end happens what all this legislation is about. It's about improving the working living conditions of the workers and the farmers in the supply chain to make globalization fairer. Well, when we decided in Germany to have this law, we thought, okay, we have to provide also support measures for companies and all the stakeholders down the supply chain to implement these new requirements. And we've set up a large scale of supporting measures. But one of the flagships are our responsible business help desks provided by GIZ. So let me explain to you what are those responsible business help desks. They are local help desks in partner countries that offer tailor-made information, awareness raising, and advisory services for local suppliers. That's important. It's for local suppliers in the first place. The help desks are a gateway for local businesses that want to step up their sustainability performance and make themselves, let's say, fit for due diligence, and by doing so also staying attractive also for the brands that now have to follow our due diligence legislation. I think that's a very important, and it's also a competitive advantage. If you're doing well in due diligence, then you are also becoming a more attractive partner for our brands that now fall under the law. What is very important for me, and I'm kind of proud that we set it up in this way, is that those help desks are hosted by local business associations and chambers of commerce. I think that was really a good trick to do it this way, and not by let's say a governmental institution, because local business associations know best their clients. No? They know what they are asking for. They know the needs, but especially they also know how to talk to them and to explain due diligence management the best way possible to the local suppliers in their everyday reality, so to speak. And I think that's key to make this service provision successful. But those local help desks, they are also introduced into a sector cross-sectoral network, a global network of business help desks. I come back to this later on. Next page, please. So let me now briefly explain to you what these help desks are providing. The offering is the following. Of course, the help desks themselves, they give advice to the members of the chambers. It's a real service desk. You can go to, you can call and to ask for more information about the due diligence altogether. But those help desks, they are also a service provider in terms of organizing networks, doing referencing work, reference you to the local service provider when it comes to audit, for example, or other service providers that are helping you to set up due diligence management. And those help desks, they're also organizing training, sensitization measures, for example, between brands and local suppliers, together with the local governments, but also helping to get in touch in dialogue with the international organizations on the ground that are also organizing other programs of support, like, for example, the ILO offices on the ground, or OECD, for example. Also very interesting to get in touch with them. And last but not least, via GIZ, these help desks also organize regular updates on international developments. For example, where do we stand in the European decision-making process about the EU-wide legislation and so on. Next page, please. We have set up this help desk model as a replicable model. That is that we've got a one-size-fits-all solution in the first place that is going to be adapted, but then to local needs. GIZ is providing, let's call it a standardized toolkit that goes from step-to-step guidance, how to set up a help desk, with the contracting, but also with setting up the home pages. Therefore, GIZ is providing the good templates, for example, to explain all the due diligence management circle altogether, and standardized also communication products, how to explain all the translation of our national law, hopefully soon also of the European law. And this is our standard toolkit. And then again, GIZ is also providing support, for example, for the international networking, organizing the dialogues with international experts around the world, for example, when it comes to trainings or sensibilization measures and so on. Organizing common learnings and best practice exchanges and so on, and is providing also a data platform where you can source additional information to put it on your homepage and so on. But and now I come to the middle column. The most important thing is that all these standardized products then are, of course, also adapted to the local needs. And there is where the experts from the local business associations and chambers of commerce come into the game. They can adapt it to the needs and understanding of the local suppliers, for example. So next page, please. I said it's already a worldwide network. If I look at this map, I would call it also a global belt, so to speak, of help desks that we already have set up or we are about to set up. We have already well-running help desks in Serbia, in Bangladesh, in Cambodia, and in Vietnam. And some of those hosts are also going to talk after me, and I'm very happy about this, that they talk about the experiences that they already gathered. And then we're also about to set up already another tranche of help desk in Pakistan, in Turkey, in Tunisia, and in Mexico. And here on the right side, you also see our partners who are hosting those help desks. In Vietnam, it is VCCI. Many thanks, Nan An, for being with us. In Cambodia, it's Eurocham. In Bangladesh, it's BGMEA, BKMEA. Many thanks also for you guys coming here. In Serbia, we have got the Chamber of Commerce, the local one. And in Tunisia, it's going to be UTICA. In Turkey, Turconfed. And in Mexico, it's CCE that are running those help desks. And I think that's a very successful approach. I'm happy to hear what they're going to tell us about their first experiences. Well, we have an ambition to make this network even bigger. And so let me come to the last page. What's next? Let me say to you, if you are a business association or a chamber of commerce on the ground, just contact us, become a host of another help desk. We will help you to get the information needed to set up such a process. If you are another government representative from the EU or maybe other, please contact us so that we can also perhaps talk about co-funding of other help desks in countries that are very important to you. For those who are here in this group, in this audience, from the brands, feel invited to refer your suppliers to the already existing local help desks, or approach your service provider, your suppliers, so that they get in touch with local governments, their local business associations, to talk about the need of further advice and how we can set it up jointly together with local authorities and organizations. And if you're a supplier yourself, then of course get in touch in the countries where we already have those help desks. Take the advice and get informed and profit from the service already existing. And if you're in a country where we don't have a help desk yet, again, get in touch with your local chambers of commerce or your local business associations to talk about this and seeing how far we can how far we can perhaps also set up another help desk project in your country. So many thanks for your patience. I had to run through the pages very quickly because I only had 10 minutes. But GIZ is going to provide this presentation to you after this meeting. And so you can also read the details and also share this presentation with colleagues and other organizations. Many thanks. And now I'm very happy to hear what the others on the panel have to say.
Thank you so much, Reinhard, for this very comprehensive presentation. And it's really great to see that the network is also expanding. And also, you made it very clear that it's really crucial to work with the local organizations as hosts of the help desks. So now we would like to hear from them and also from amfori. And we have in our panel today, Linda Kromjong, the president of amfori, Tanja Linde, project manager at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia, representing the RBH Serbia, Stefania Stater, RBH coordinator at the European Chamber of Commerce in Cambodia, Shamim Ezan, vice president of the Bangladesh Knitwear Manufacturers and Exporters Association, BKMEA, for the RBH Bangladesh, Sheikh Mustafiz, chairman of the Standing Committee on Sustainability of the Bangladesh Garments Manufacturers and Exporters Association, BGMEA, also representing RBH Bangladesh, and Tran Thi Lan An, general secretary of the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the RBH Vietnam. Thank you all so much for joining this session and being here with us. So, Linda, I would like to start with you. From amfori's work with brands and producers in different countries, how are the legal requirements on due diligence perceived, and where do you see maybe challenges and opportunities when supporting companies to comply with those requirements?
Thank you, Carla, and thank you also, Reinhard, for, I would say, a great introduction. But it's also good to see that the network is building between business association, employers federation, and chambers of commerce, because I think that's the way to collaborate and really step up here. And also, for my previous roles, it's really encouraging to see that happening. amfori, as you already said, we have members, companies in over 50 countries, 2,500 of them, and they have a huge number of suppliers in whatever, I think 110 countries, but the far majority is still within Asia Pacific. And when I meet with those suppliers in countries, one of the first questions I always ask is, Linda, what about this legislation? My God, this is frightening, this is scary, it's meant to push us out of business, I don't understand. They have really, really a lot of questions. And many of those questions are really because they don't understand. And I think, Reinhard, you mentioned it very well. This is not new. So I think that's really a message that we really need to underline again and again. There's no new obligations. There's no new expectations. It's all founded in the International Labour Organization, say fundamental principle of the rights at work. It's all founded in the UN Guiding Principles of Business Human Rights. And if you're already doing that, you are already on a good way in understanding it. So what you will need to do is really live up to those standards. Don't reinvent, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Really, learn from what others already have done, continue on embarking it. And what you probably need to do a bit better than what you're currently already doing is showing transparency, because that is what your buyers are going to ask on you. show transparently what you're doing. And there's different ways in doing that. So I think we need to take away this, oh my God, this big, animal somewhere in the room, and make it small and understandable. So we need to change our language, take away this, unnecessary, I would say, anxiety, replace it by something they can work on in a very practical manner, do it in a language they do understand, give the trainings and education in their own languages within their own context, which is really, really important. And indeed, and I think that's really crucial for suppliers, really position this as a business opportunity, because that's what it is. If you are already in an exporting supply chain, this will give you the opportunity to stay in one exporting supply chain. And if you're not yet in, it gives you an opportunity to become, part of this exporting supply chain into Europe as well as in other countries. And I think that is really what resonates well. And I think the other argument that we really need to really underline more is that it also gives them not only a competitive advantage in, say, becoming part of a supply chain, but it also helps them, say, improving their own working conditions for the people, improving their efficiency, improving their effectiveness. So we also need to underline better what are the business benefits for people as well as for business. And let's not underestimate also that planet is also equally important here. So we need to help them meeting those obligations. And again, they are not new. And let's explain that in understandable language to them, because that's the best way helping you moving forward. Take away this fear, replace it by something actionable, where there is a helping hand to help them guiding through that. And of course, amfori is there to help. And I also would say, also invitation here to everyone, there is a lot of trainings already being developed by amfori in local language. I think also here, let's not duplicate, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's see where we can collaborate here, because everything is founded on the same principles. I'm going to pause here now and leave the floor to others. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Linda, for this valuable insights. And thanks for highlighting also the business opportunities in this whole topic. With that, I would like to move to Shamim Ehsan. Could you please share with us some first-hand experiences from Bangladesh in terms of how producers are perceiving due diligence requirements there? Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, Bangladeshi producers are not the subject to the due diligence in German law or any other European law. Legally, there is no chance for them, and the responsibility to oblige companies cannot be simplified, pushed down to the supplier. But our producer has actually taken this very cordially. When we are going for training to our factories owners and the factory mid management, they took it very cordially, because of course the buyers must get the information from us and work with us to make sure the social and environmental standards are complied as per the German and European the law which is coming on. So my producer response are very good in a sense regarding these issues.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you so much. And let's maybe take a look at the situation in Europe. Tanya, could you share with us what are your observations in Serbia so far in regard to due diligence requirements and how suppliers react to them? And maybe not only in the textile industry, but I know you're also working in automotive and electronic sectors.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello to everyone that joined us today. I must say that the situation in Serbia is like that right now we do not have a due diligence law or requirement as such as it is, for example, in a German law, but we have all the other laws that are covering the same requirements. And due to this specific situation, the companies in Serbia are approaching to implementing the due diligence in their companies, in their daily business, due to the requirement of their buyers or because of the requirements of the country they're exporting. And then if we observe different industries, it's not the same level of knowledge and preparedness in textile industry as in automotive industry. As Rainer said, this is a business. This is the activity that has to come jointly together with the buyer and the supplier. And RBH is here only to support, maybe as Linda mentioned, in the local language and with some specific training. And for example, due diligence, it's not only about the human rights and the environment, it's all the other requirements that are coming now in the supply chain. And we see that big brands are approaching to RBH. I can make an example that right now we are organizing a training for the local supply chain of one big retailer in Serbia that needs to give a better knowledge of the carbon management to their suppliers in the local supply chain.
Okay, thank you so much, Tanya, and thanks for sharing this example. And that leads me actually to my second question on what are the concrete support measures that the Responsible Business Help Desk are offering to support suppliers in implementing due diligence processes and mitigate potential risks in their supply chain. And maybe I could go to you, Stefania. I know you have done some exciting work with the RBH in Cambodia at the Eurochamp, and maybe you could share with us some concrete examples of the service offerings that you have implemented in Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody who is online with us. RBH Cambodia was the first of its kind, so we have developed many services, but I would like, since the time is very short today, for everybody to have an intervention, I would like to talk about one specific activity that we have done that is particular for Cambodia, and this is public-private dialogues. We have organized 6 public-private dialogues last year, and we intend to have 5 this year. And I will focus my presentation only on one specific one. And just to give you a little bit of understanding about these public-private dialogues, these are some events that serve as a collaborative platform for stakeholders, including private sector, government agencies, industry experts, and CSO to address challenges and discuss social and environmental sustainability topics in the country, in Cambodia. The goal of these events is to raise awareness, facilitate learning and knowledge exchange, and generate concrete recommendations during each event. These recommendations are intended to provide guidance for relevant stakeholders, filling policy and marketing gaps, and promoting responsible business practices in the country. One of the public-private dialogues that we organized last year was called Preventing Sexual Harassment in the Workplace and Awareness Raising Guidelines and Best Practices. Sexual harassment in Cambodia is quite common, with an estimated 40-60% of women and 10% of men affected, according to the International Labour Organization report, a recent report. And although in the Cambodian law there is a specific line prohibiting sexual harassment, the absence of clear definition in the penal code creates difficulty in responding to the cases. And also the lack of knowledge and implementation guidelines within the companies also makes this difficult. This event that we organized featured representatives from the Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training of Cambodia, the Ministry of Women's Affairs, Better Factories Cambodia, ILO, the Cambodian Women Entrepreneurs Association, and of course our donors, GIZ Fabric, the private sector, and other NGOs. This event, as I mentioned, has the purpose to create some recommendation, and I would like to mention some of the recommendations that followed or emerged from this event. For example, the need to more women in business leadership positions, importance of raising awareness about these topics in all the companies, the private sector, the need for legal instruments and referral guidelines that refers to an action from the state through the Ministry of Women's Affairs, training and capacity building, building a structure for reporting and action, awareness and trainings for managers, and not the least, empowerment of women. The conclusion of this event was that preventing sexual harassment in the workplace in Cambodia requests a concentrated effort from all the stakeholders. This is why we brought at the table through this event all the important stakeholders, which are also, I was happy to hear that it was mentioned, the United Nations Guiding Principle, which also mentions in the 3 pillars that it's about the state, the private sector, and there is a need to collaborate. So this is also a conclusion from the event. And the recommendation put forward by the stakeholders highlighted the importance of awareness raising, training, empowerment of women, and shared responsibility. It is essential to develop clear reporting procedures, legal instruments, and referral guidelines. And another thing that I want to mention in the end of my presentation is that as we are part, the Responsible Business Hub is part of Eurocham, and Eurocham has a role of advocacy to with the royal government of Cambodia. We included part of this recommendation in the white book that Eurocham has created and advocates with different stakeholders from the royal government of Cambodia. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please contact us now or later through our website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefania. And this is such a great example of how the RBH is also engaging in, yeah, like, as you said, advocacy and creating this exchange platform. Very good to hear about that. We also have Mustafiz with us from the RBH in Bangladesh. Mustafiz, I would like to ask you, what are some of the specific activities that you're implementing with the RBH at BGMEA, and yeah, what's your approach there?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I can see a lot of known faces. That's good. That's good for me to start with. Anyway, I will let you know there are some trainings actually we have conducted so far. For the HREDD, we have conducted 3 trainings for about 42 factories actually participated. About 84 participants actually participated in that training program regarding the due diligence mechanism and all the things. We try to let them know that how their approach should be in the factory, because it is not anymore like a compliance mechanism. It has to be like a own due diligence system. You have to find your own risk assessment. So that is what we are doing. You know, we also have a plan to make some owner session, because we found that if the owners are not well aware of this law and all the things, it is very difficult to implement those practices in the factory, because the compliance team or HR team, they have their own set of job. But if the owners, they understand properly what they have to do, then it will be a good impact. So we are going to conduct one owner session, and also we also found that we will be doing some stakeholders meeting, because we also found that the stakeholders need some we need the input from the stakeholders, so that they can also provide us their requirement and their problems. So we wanted to have like a collaboration with our stakeholders, because that is also very important for us to make the better due diligence process. Because sometimes we can assume something, and end of the day it is ended up something like that it is not everybody is accepting, or there are some arguments. So that's why we wanted to set up the stakeholders meeting, and that will be continuing in our process. And then I would like to mention you, there are some feedbacks actually we received while we have conducted the trainings. That is also very important for us, that how we will address these things in future. We need to find a way that how we can give them a kind of solution. That, for example, while we are giving the training, everybody is talking about the cost of doing business may go up. Then what will happen? Because end of the day, the buyers, they are pushing us for the prices, and the cost of doing business may grow up if we have to conduct everything in proper way. So that is also another feedback. I mean, a feedback we are receiving from our participants. And then there are some conflict of local laws. We also discovered that if we have to comply everything according to the European standard, there are some local laws. It may have some conflicts, and also we found that there are some brands, they are accepting some kind of things which other brands are not accepting. So there are some conflict of the code of conduct, and there are some local laws. That is also, we found that our participants are looking forward some of their questions to answer. And then we also discovered another feedback from our participant, that is the freedom of complaint mechanism. Because when this due diligence process will be in place, there will be a freedom of the complaint mechanism, because the workers, any stakeholder, they can make a complaint to BMZ and other BAFA and everywhere. So the problem is that if it is going too much, then there will be it can be a bottleneck for the business growth. So that is the feedback. Also, we think that how we can address those things, because if it is really free, everybody can give their complaint to the BAFA or somewhere else, then it will be getting complicated day by day. And then we have another issue that is also it comes from our training session, that is regarding the other tiers. How we can follow our other tier suppliers, for example, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, because sometimes we don't have any control with the other tiers. So how we can make sure that other tiers are also performing better, because sometimes we don't have our own control, because they have their own business, they are monitored by some other officials, government agencies, so we cannot have everything by control by ourselves. So how we can address those things? So that is also come up from as a feedback from the training section. So this is the thing I would like to inform you about our activities. But one more thing I would like to add. Probably you know that BGME has set up a 2030 ESG vision, and based on that vision, we have set up a data disclosure platform, and we are collecting data from the participants. So also we have conducted 3 trainings on this data management system. 30 factories also participated in that program. About 86 participants actually participated in the data management program as well. So and we also started getting collection. We have already received about 36 factories. They have updated their ESG data in our platform. So it is getting better and better. So, and then maybe once we can get a benchmark of our ESG situation of the apparel industry, probably that will help us to mitigate and find out what kind of action we have to take in to address and understand the due diligence process. And last not the least, that we also started our sustainability reporting system. We also started providing training to the member factories, how they can write down the sustainability report, because that is the end of the day. If we are not transparent enough, then the due diligence process will not be visible enough. So that is the thing what we are doing right now, and I think it's a good platform. I think it will be definitely help us a lot, and we'll be continuing this process. And thanks GIZ for supporting us financially and technically. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mustafiz, for sharing this very practical approaches with the audience, and also some of the challenges and feedbacks that you have received. That's very interesting. I would like to stay in Asia for now and move on to Vietnam. We have Lan Anh with us.
Yes.
Yes, hello. Please tell us a bit about the responsible business help desk at the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and what are some highlights of the activities from the last year? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Carla, and thank you for inviting me to join these panel discussions. Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a national organization that gathers and presents the business community in Vietnam. And RBH Vietnam, maybe the youngest RBH, has been established in late December last 2022 as an unit of the Bureau of Employers Activities at BCCI. So it aims to support the Vietnamese manufacturers to be enabled to implement of labor, social, and environmental due diligence in their business and more effectively, and can thereby meet the increasing requirements by international buyers. And RBH acts as the focal point on responsible business issues by providing compliance consulting and awareness-raising services on responsible business, connecting manufacturers with our stakeholders, service provider, and initiatives. As you know, that RBH in Vietnam is quite new, and during last 1 year, we have conducted some many activities and have a modest achievement in the first year of our implementations. In our first year of establishment, RBH in Vietnam has organized 10 awareness-raising events for business in different sectors and 4 dialogues with relevant stakeholders, including business associations, private sectors, and policymakers. And we have also created a network of consultants through the 2 TOTs on supply chain due diligence with the support from the GIZ. And I think that after 1 year, RBH services reach out more than 300 companies and attracting more than 500 participants from different stakeholders, and among them, more than it's over 50% were female. And regarding the concrete example, what we support to the business community, I can name the good example of our network of local consultants. I think is quite important for the Chamber of Commerce like BCCI, because these consultants will be the RBH extended arms to support the local companies and strengthen their sustainability and due diligence in implementations of their business. And so that's why we organize 2 TOTs, training of trainers, and the local consultants are updated and have the same understanding on supply chain due diligence regulations. You know that this concept is quite new in Vietnam. So through our trainings, the consultants who are working in the labor issues and environmental issues are more updated with the new concept from the Germany Act. And our network of local consultants is also now we have more than 30 consultants. They quite experienced consultants, and in training and also in advisory to the private sectors. And among them, some became our key consultants who can develop training materials on supply chain due diligence and cooperate with us in different kind of trainings for not only VCCI but also other services regarding to due diligence, and also other services related to the global supply chain issues. And besides that, they can also develop their own consulting services on due diligence. That's some examples that we have achieved in VCCI for last year. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. It's very impressive to hear how many companies you have already reached and how you're building this network of consultants. To wrap it up, I would like to go back to you, Linda, and hear about the support measures that you at amfori are offering to your members, And maybe you could also give us a specific example of that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Carly. I already spoke a bit about capacity building, and that's really important because capacity building is also crucial to prevent things from happening and do the right thing when you start implementing. So that, I think we all agree there. But we also know that we don't live in an ideal world and that things can go wrong. And then it is really important also looking into pillar 3, access to remedy of the guiding principles, that there's an opportunity for workers to raise their voice. I understand concerns are being raised, whether they go directly to BAFA. I don't think, that's the way, it should be, because there is many mechanisms in between, and it starts with having a good grievance mechanism locally within a factory or within a service provider, where, people are encouraged to speak up and raise their concerns. If that doesn't happen, there is always opportunity that you go externally. And what we do with an amfori, we are setting up a grievance mechanism, which we call Speak for Change, that allows workers from the suppliers of our members, but also the community, civil society, other interested groups and stakeholders to raise their concerns if they feel they can't be addressed, say, locally, and then we will pick it up. And we do that, of course, following, let's say, the criteria as in the guiding principles about what is a robust and effective grievance mechanism handling. We know our limitations, so we need to do it well to start with. So we are up and running in Vietnam, in Bangladesh, in Turkey, and in India, and we will add this year Cambodia, and now the other country escapes me, but it will come back. And of course, we will expand the system, even when, when we have the leverage to do so, because we want to do it right. We also know that when we have an access to remedy system and a Speak for Change, we are working with local investigators to understand, the merit to the case. Keeping things anonymous and trustworthy, I think, is really important. But it's also important that if there is a complaint, but it is not for amfori members or their suppliers, that we then find ways, to address them somewhere else. So that's why I think collaboration kicks in. That's why we're working, for example, together with the CARI platform. And say in the CARI platform, we will then exchange and see if we can, if another organization can pick it up. So I think this collaboration is key in making this work. And it's also one of the things, if you look into HREDD, human rights and environmental due diligence, whether it's the German law or whether it's the CSDDD, that I hope will come, because it does create a level playing field, and we're advocating hard for that one. So I hope that we'll have a positive vote there. This is really a crucial instrument. And I would not see it as a burden, also coming back to earlier comment being made, but it's an opportunity, because if people raise their voice, if they speak up, you've got the opportunity to solve it, but also to understand if there are systemic issues that require, I would say, systemic change in your processes and your policy. So I think having an effective grievance in place where people put their trust in, I think is a crucial element of, say, being a good employer to some extent, and addressing the issues at hand for your workers and their broader communities and society. That's what I would like to share with you here. And maybe one other thing that I really would like to echo here. We have spoken about human rights and environmental due diligence. There is, depending on where we are, there is, different maturity in environmental and social. But we know they're growing together, and we know that we need to start reporting on those. So having the support also from the help desk here in reporting is really helpful, but it's also something that we at amfori are looking into. So via what we have, in addition to amfori BCI and amfori BEPI, we're also working hard on a journey, helping our members guided through, what does good due diligence mean? How do you set up policies and process? So there's more to come, but an important element of, say, compliance is also having an operating grievance mechanism. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing this great initiative with us and bringing up again the topic of grievance mechanisms. I think it's time to move on to our questions and answer session. And let's go to Christine, who has been looking at the chat. And let's see what kind of questions we got from the audience.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Christine, based in Phnom Penh, working for the GIZ project. Yes, I have received a lot of questions in the chat. Thank you for your engagement. And the first question I want to share is I want to share that with GIZ BMZ explicitly to Rainer. The question is from Suhasini, and it says, RBH sounds like a good measure to support suppliers in implementing due diligence processes. How is GIZ/BMZ ensuring that companies do not simply push the suppliers to make the changes without adequately compensating for it? I think our shared responsibility might be a bullet point here.
Okay, many thanks. Let me jump in and perhaps GIZ can add to this. Well, as I said, due diligence management only works effectively if buyers and suppliers work together correctly and in a fair way. And of course, there's a certain pressure in terms of pricing and so on. I come back to this later. But the first point that I wanted to make is, for example, GIZ is also providing model contract clauses for buyers and suppliers to make sure that their contractual relationship is set up in a fair way. So that they can really share the responsibilities between buyer and supplier. That is one point. The other is, and here I also come back to what Mustafiz mentioned when he talked about the feedback from the supplier side. That is that there's of course a certain cost pressure coming from our brands who have to follow the law now. I can tell you that in the European legislation, we have addressed this problem and making sure that fair pricing and fair purchasing practices become part of a due diligence management system that is mandatory. So this is why we are also very much engaged that this EU legislation will come to make those relations between buyer and supplier fairer and make sure that this cost pressure that may come from our companies is not so big that you don't have the resources and the room for maneuver to implement all those due diligence requirements, because of course they also cost something. But to the whole variety, also we have to take or be aware that cost pressure not only comes from the brands in the north, so to speak, but it also comes from the suppliers who are in a certain competition between themselves. So also on the supplier side, there has to be some joint common understanding how low you can put the bar when suppliers are offering their prices to the brand. So I think that's homework that has to be done on both sides. Yeah, that was my part of the answer to the questions raised so far.
Thank you so much, Reinhard. Very appreciated. Okay, let's move on to another question we received from Peter, and it is an open question to the RBHs, and I let you decide which RBH wants to reply to that question. The question is, how are the help desks working on the integration of trade unions and CSOs into the local processes? So Serbia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Cambodia. Who would like to?
I can respond on this. I think I can respond on this. I already in my deliveries I already mentioned that we are not only providing the training to the participant member factories, but also we have an program to engage the stakeholders, and stakeholders means that also internal, external, both. The CSOs, the trade unions, even the environmentalist, journalists. We will engage everybody, so that we can understand their views, and we are already incorporating all our stakeholders in the process. But it will take time because it is still new. We need to understand our members factory need to understand. So it will take a bit time, but I can tell you we are already in the process, so that I can answer on this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Christine.
So let's
from Serbia. Yeah. In
yes,
Serbia, Yeah, RBH in Serbia has been recognized by a couple of ministries that are coming with working groups, and became a part of the working groups in creation of the strategy of the human rights and also on the action plan of prevention of the discrimination and human trafficking in the work exploitation purposes. And that is a huge step for RBH, because we will be the part of the ones that are creating these new laws, new action plans, and also we will be the one that providing activities among the companies. And on the other hand, in Serbia, we have ILO, which is very active in the field of grievance mechanism, because in Serbian law, we do not have the grievance mechanism as such it is in the German law. And ILO has created a guidebook how to implement internal grievance mechanism, and they're working actively on promoting this guidebook among the companies by training their representatives, and also by having a dialogue and open round tables with the representatives of social association, civil association, and representatives of the unions in the companies.
So can I share some information from Vietnam, RBH Vietnam, on the engagement of the trade union. So you know that in Vietnam, we VCCI as employers organizations, we work very closely in tripartite mechanism together with the trade union and government. So we also have a dialogue mechanism from the central level down to the grassroots levels. And during the RBH implementation activities, we always involved trade union to attend our activities, like in the dialogues, and to make sure that we can understand and also understand the trade union, and also share information with them. And so trade union can be the extended arms for the employers to work with in the to support the companies to comply with the requirements in the due diligence. Yes, that's it.
Thank you. That's very insightful. Carla, do we have time for one more question, or I hand over for you to the closing remarks?
I think, unfortunately, we're running out of time. So let's keep it at this in the interest of time. And maybe we can also get back to some questions by email also. So closing the session, I would like to thank all of our fantastic speakers for joining and really sharing their valuable insights and experiences. And I would also like to thank all of you for joining and posing such insightful questions. And yeah, this, I think, has been an opportunity for learning for all of us. And that's really what the RBH network is about, the cross-country and cross-sectoral exchange and learning. And if you would be interested to learn more about opportunities to engage with the RBH network, you can always reach out to us. I think the email address is in the chat. So feel free to contact us. And yeah, for those people who are in Paris, I wish you a great OECD Forum ahead. And for everyone else, also have a pleasant day ahead, nice rest of the day, and see you next time. Thank you so much.